this week's edition of Human Capital. I'm Yolanda Sompondo.
And I'm Stacy Mogale.
The success of any business is a direct consequence of the input of its employees. Getting the right person in the right job at the right time is imperative, and as a consequence, there are many repercussions when recruitment and selection procedures fail. Hiring the wrong people does not only cause a loss of income due to lack of productivity, there are many ways that bad hiring decisions can hurt your business.
This week we're investigating the value of appointing the right person to a managerial position in an organization. Did you know it costs between 50 and 175% of the position's annual salary to secure staff replacements? This is according to the Corporate Advisory Board of Washington, D.C. These costs include job posting fees, training fees, especially if training is conducted off-site, and paying the wrong employee salary before employment officially ends. Why is the appointment of a manager so much more important than filling the post of, say, a factory worker? Or is it? We posed this question to John Mwalusi, CEO of Bridging the Gap, and this is what he had to say.
Okay, I think basically because managers are entrusted with the responsibility to manage resources in a business. So their impact in terms of their role is very strategic and far-reaching. Secondly, managers' recruitment into a business is critical because they will make key decisions and implement those. So if you get wrong managers, they will direct your company into a wrong direction. But also managers are responsible for developing talent, and they therefore have to be good role models. In other words, they've got to walk the talk, and if you don't find the right men and women, your culture and your values may suffer.
Many companies favor candidates who have excelled academically and attended prestigious schools. Companies like Google and AT&T, however, have conducted thorough quantitative analysis which demonstrated that a candidate's ability to take initiative is far better predictor of high performance on the job. What are the most important traits that one looks for in a manager?
Basically, a good manager is a manager who is organized. Fundamentally, a manager who's organized. In other words, the role of the manager is to make sure that you organize the environment within which your team should work. So if a manager is disorganized, they would lack capacity or competency in terms of planning. They would lack capacity or competency in terms of directing an organization and supporting the team to do its work. Because we must remember the key role of a manager is that of creating a space for the team to be successful.
Many companies have started taking the guesswork out of employee management by leveraging analytics to improve their methods of attracting and retaining talent, thereby differentiating themselves from competitors. But how can you measure whether a managerial appointment has been successful?
For me, a successful appointment, firstly, it's somebody who fits into the culture and the values of an organization. Because those are the key things that determine whether you stay with us or you go, right? If you can fit within those two, the next important thing is your technical content in terms of the role that which you are appointed on. It's very important because even if you are a manager or an executive, if you lack depth, you will not be able to be appreciated and respected by your team because of your lack of technical content and knowledge. So if you were to ask me that question, I would say if you meet the value requirement, the culture requirement, the technical requirement, and you are an organized person, and you meet those four, I would say you've made a fairly good appointment. The rest one can learn as you stabilize in the organization. So the cost of appointing a person into a wrong job is just unphenomenally huge. You cannot even begin to quantify it. And we've had, in our experience, people appointed either in executive positions or even junior management positions who cost the company hugely when it comes to financial consequences, relationship consequences, even in relationships with your external stakeholders.
As we now know, it costs between 50 and 175% of a position's annual salary to secure staff replacements. In addition to this, flaws in an appointment only begin to reveal themselves 6 months after the appointment has been made. If the manager is not able to create an optimal environment for a team to operate, productivity will suffer. A bad appointment can also have a negative effect on employee morale, and it often happens that existing star performers will leave an organization under the wrong management. Most importantly, one must keep in mind the far-reaching and long-lasting effects that a poor appointment can have on one's reputation, both internally with employees and externally with customers.
Is it better to recruit internally or externally?
Your first choice really, in most instances, must be from within. It may be necessary from time to time to bring in fresh blood, but sometimes it's often good to look for those people who worked for you in the past and have left you to go and grow elsewhere, especially in executive positions. Those are the first people you should headhunt. I always advise my clients to be very wary of appointing people at executive level into the business. It has borne disastrous results in most circumstances. And I'm saying this very much aware that there's a need to bring in fresh blood from time to time. One must have a clear strategy how you do that, but in the first instance, people from within must have the first opportunity, and then you can look from outside. But when you do so, make sure they are properly oriented and inducted in the business.
Identify the vision and mission of the organization. Review the strategy and bear in mind the type of manager that you will require to take you from where the organization is to where it wants to be. When drafting a job profile, people who previously filled the position will best be able to describe what the job requires. During the interview process, focus on whether the candidate will fit into the organization's culture and shares the same values as the organization. Once an appointment has been made, it is imperative that the candidate is properly oriented into the organization and is educated about the culture and values of the organization. John recommended that every new appointee should have a buddy within the organization who could help the recruit transition into the organization with less hassle than if he were left to his own devices. Performance reviews should be conducted quarterly and should be targeted towards development of the individual as opposed to finding fault. Once the manager has settled into the organization, the recruitment process comes to an end and talent management takes over. Join us next week when we discuss the talent management process